Hey yo, it's Brian here. Today, talking about the San Francisco 49ers. Welcome to my position edge for this week. It's going to be the 49ers versus Cleveland Browns happening this Sunday in Cleveland, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern time game. I'm so excited for this matchup. I hope you guys are as well. 49er fans, Niner faithful, fellow subscriber of mine, welcome as always. Cleveland Browns fans, yes, you're even welcome as well. After a few years ago when we played in 2019 and you guys were just trashing me all week long, and then at the end of the day the 49ers blew them out. I believe the score was 31-3. So Cleveland fans, whatever I say, you pretty much have to take in the gospel because you guys were really bad to me on that position edge a few years ago. I'll have a link in the card section, link in the description below for that. I got a lot of dislikes for that video, but yet the 49ers were able to prove me right, do all the right things, play really well, blow Baker Mayfield out of the water, and that was Nick Bosa's rookie year. That was his pretty much coming out party, I would say, as a great defensive lineman. Cleveland fans, please be humble. Stay humble. That's all I got to say, right? And this is kind of surprising because I always thought Cleveland fans were cool. You know, they've been losing for a long time. They still kind of are. When I did my position edge, I was just so flabbergasted that Cleveland fans would be so angry with me, upsetting. That's just crazy right there. You know what? I'd say Pittsburgh fans and Cincinnati fans, they're way better than Cleveland fans on YouTube, I should say. I don't know about real life because I don't know that many Cleveland Browns fans. Both Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, they were really cool. Pittsburgh were just cool week one. Cincinnati fans have been cool for the past few years. We played them. I think we played them twice ever since making this YouTube channel. Come on, Cleveland, have some class, right? Anyways, I'm ranting out of the way. Should be a fun matchup. The 49ers coming off a big win over the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football last night. The Cleveland Browns, they have a bye week, but they ended up losing a lot by the Baltimore Ravens. Although I will say Deshaun Watson was not playing in that game, man. You can say anything about Deshaun off the field, but we're going to be talking about on the field only. I have my opinions, but I'm just going to be talking about on the field exclusively. So, yeah. Sit back, relax, let's enjoy this matchup, and have a good time. So, 49er fans, please be respectful. Cleveland Browns fans, especially you, please be respectful to fellow Niner faithful and myself after what happened a few years ago. So, yep, that out of the way. Let's get this video started, but before I do, per usual, please like and subscribe. That'd be much appreciative. If you're new to my channel, subscribe. If you're a returning subscriber, as always, thank you so much. This is a position edge where I give edges based on per position, quarterback versus quarterback, D lineman versus D lineman, anything that I would take into a matchup. If I had to build a team based on these two, I would use them coming into any football game for that week in particular. So it's going to be fun. It's like a Deadliest Warrior style video, if you don't know by now. That used to be a TV show a long time ago on Spike TV. Enjoyed that show and got some inspiration from it. So I hope you guys do enjoy it. And let's just get started. 49ers versus Cleveland Browns. Who am I going to give the edge to per position? All right, if I'm looking at the 49ers and Browns, I'm going to be doing it a little bit differently this year. I'm going to be giving out edges, just what I think per team. So first off, I'm going to start with the San Francisco 49ers. I would say I would give some edges to certain positions, especially on offense, because I believe the offense for the 49ers is just great. They've shown me a lot of progress for the past few weeks now, since week 1 to all the way to week 5. I would give the edge for Brock Purdy over Deshaun Watson. And honestly, you could give the edge to Watson as well, but I feel like him being out of football for a year and a half with all the stuff he was going through and, whatever, that has really hampered him big time. I mean, he's played some good games. At the same time, he's been really inconsistent, and that's not what you want in a quarterback, especially for a franchise quarterback that they paid guaranteed money to. I'm going to give the edge to Brock. He's been playing really good football. Yes, he has to play a really good Cleveland Browns defense, but it worked the other way around too. Deshaun Watson has to play a really good 49ers defense too. So maybe this could be a low-scoring game. But for right now, if I had to put my money on the line, I would give it to Brock Purdy right now just because he's playing really good football. He hasn't turned the ball over that much. He's playing really clean football. That's all I got to say. So edge, I would give it to Brock Purdy over Deshaun Watson for the quarterback position. Running back position, I mean, I could say Nick Chubb, but unfortunately he is out. I will say best wishes to him. Hopefully he has a very fast recovery because he is a great running back. I think everybody can acknowledge that, and hoping for a speedy recovery because he would be missed big time. Not just for Cleveland Browns fans, but everybody in general. But for me right now, got to give the hands down the edge to Christian McCaffrey. He's just the best running back in football. What can you do? How can you stop him, right? And even if you do stop him, you have Deebo Samuel who lines up as a wide back, and you have all the other guys to go to. So it's really pick your poison for the 49ers offense, and Christian is just the biggest piece of the puzzle that we've been missing for years, and he's been a really, really good player for us. One of the best players for us on offense right now. So edge, Christian McCaffrey and the 49ers offense. Next up, the wide receiver position. If I give the edge to, I'd give it to the 49ers overall. I mean, they have some great guys. I'd say Amari Cooper, he's a really good dude. But at the same time, I mean, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, these guys are just fantastic. Ayuk is having just a blast this year so far. He is doing really well for the 49ers. Is it have something to do with the contract? Yeah, probably. But at the same time, I mean, with Brock Purdy as a quarterback, he's having a lot of chemistry with him. It's working out very effectively. What more can you ask for, right? I love me some Ayuk. He does a really good job. And as much as I love Cleveland's receivers as well, I'm still going to be going with the 49ers. And you look at the other backup guys, Bell and Juwan Jennings, those guys, they can make some work as well. I'm going to give the edge to the 49ers big time. Next up, the tight end position, Nukic versus George Kittle. Who I give the edge to? I'm going to give it to the people's tight end, Mr. Tight End Man, the inventor of National Tight Ends Week. George Kittle, he had 3 touchdowns against the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday, one of his best games of his career. I would take that any day of the week. Plus, if he's not getting statistics, he hasn't been really getting the most touchdowns, the most receiving yards as a tight end. He's been able to be very effective in the blocking game, and he doesn't really care, honestly. He's one of the most selfless players, I would say, for the 49ers. He just doesn't care about stats, and it doesn't need a show. You just know he's one of the best tight ends in the NFL. I could give it to him any day of the week. So I love me some Kittle all the time. And last up, the O-line versus O-line for the 49ers. I'm going to be giving it to the 49ers. I mean, they've been masterful for the past few weeks now, led by Trent Williams and Aaron Banks. Even Burford, those guys, they do a really good job for the offensive line. They're the big reason why Christian McCaffrey's having a big year for the 49ers. I mean, if he was in Carolina, oh man, he'd get like no yards. But with the 49ers offensive line, they do a really good job getting all the blocks. I don't know, there's something with the scheme is just very effective. It's a typical Kyle Shanahan in the Shanahan's offense, and they do a really good job about that. So I'm going to give the edge to the 49ers. Next up, defense. Let's talk about them. Defensive line, 49ers versus Cleveland Browns. Who am I going to give the edge to? This one's a tough one. You know, as a few years ago, this was probably the tough one, I would say, for the whole matchup for this game, because both defensive lines can get to the quarterback. They're very effective, and I love both of them. They do a really good job. The Cleveland Browns are led by, guys like Smith and Myles Garrett. Those guys do a really good job. But the 49ers, come on. I mean, they're one of the best D-lines in the NFL. They were able to get to Dak Prescott a lot. They put a lot of pressure on him. They made him force mistakes. I can't go wrong with that. I think the 49ers have one of the best, if not the best, defensive line in the NFL, led by Bosa, Javon Hargrave, all those other guys. They do a good job. Drake Jackson, he did go out in that game, so that's a little bit concerning. But at the same time, I do love the guys that we have right now. And even the backup guys, they do a good job. Kevin Gibbons got that fumble recovery too. I mean, come on. 49ers defensive line, I love them any day of the week. I'd pit him up against any D lineman any day of the week. So, got to give the edge to the 49ers, and they do a really good job of getting to the quarterback. And even if Bosa's not having the day of what he wants in terms of sacks, he's getting opportunities to the other guys to get sacks and to get pressures and to get hurries and stuff like that. So, I got to give the edge to the 49ers. Next up, the linebacker position, the 49ers versus Browns. Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, I love these guys. They're one of my favorite linebacking duos of all time, except Patrick Wilson and Navarro Bowman for the 49ers. They do an awesome job. Dre Greenlaw, as much as I love him, sometimes he can be a little reckless. He can be very physical, but hey, in today's NFL, that's not really happy upon. That's pretty frowned upon in today's NFL. Fred Warner, he's just a beast. He showcased his best game, I would say, as a 49er, this game against the Dallas Cowboys, to get a sack, an interception, also a forced fumble. That's the trifecta right there for any defensive player. He did all that. Very, very effective. So edge to the 49ers. I love him all day. And Fred Warner, I would say, is one of the best, if not the best middle linebacker in football. And lastly, the 49ers versus Browns defensive backfield. You know what? I'll give a slight edge to Cleveland. I mean, Denzel Ward, he's one of the best corners in the NFL. I will give him that big time. But the 49ers defensive backfield, they're no slouches either. Yes, the cornerbacks are a little shaky somewhat, but when you have the safeties, Talanoa Hufanga, Tyshawn Gibson, who had an interception against the Cowboys, I don't know. It's just, if you're a 49er fan, it always feels shaky to me, to be honest with you. I'm surprised teams don't go down the field a little bit more, because that's their little vulnerable spot, I would say, for the 49ers. Steve Wilkes, I think he's done a really good job with these defensive backs. They're not giving as many plays up as they usually would for the past few years. That is his specialty, his defensive backfield. And I think a few years ago, he was the defensive coordinator for the Browns for like a year or two. And then he went, I think, back to college and then went to the Carolina Panthers, and now he's with us. So, a little history right there for our current defensive coordinator. I hope he has a good game for this upcoming matchup against Cleveland. But yeah, I mean, Cleveland Browns defensive backfield, they could do some work, and they benefit from the defensive line that gets a lot of pressures and gets the quarterback. So, it's very similar teams, I would say, especially on defense. But offensively, I mean, the 49ers, they run the ball very effectively. And if they can't run the ball, then they'll throw the ball. If they have to test Purdy, I think Purdy will pass the test, I would say. So, it's going to be a little bit concerning if you're the 49ers offense. You got to go up against a really good defense. But, the Cowboys defense was pretty good, too, in my eyes. And for the past few weeks coming up until the Sunday night game, so they can deal with the defense. A lot of people were critical of Brock Purdy for not playing real defenses, but hey, he played one against Dallas. The offense did a really good job. They shut Micah Parsons down, one of the best, I say, defensive players in the NFL, and he didn't really do much in that game. Very impressive right there. So, I gave a lot of edges to the 49ers, except the defensive backfield. And does it make sense? Yes. I mean, the record does speak for itself. They're 5-0 right now coming into this game. They have a lot of good talent. They played almost perfect football almost every week. I think the only game they really struggled was against the Rams, and that was a division matchup opponent. But they've had a lot of success this week against Pittsburgh, against the Giants. I know they're not the best teams. Well, actually, Pittsburgh might be on the come up. They also beat the Cowboys on Sunday, which was probably the most impressive win, I would say, for the 49ers this year, because that Cowboys, they were 3-1 coming in this game. They had a lot of hype. This was a division, I would say, one of the greatest rivalries in NFL history. And it's a little bit too much, but I think it's a great rivalry with the 49ers and Cowboys to be renewed in the 2020s, and we were able to blow them out 42-10. So what else can I say, right? So, yep, that's pretty much it, you guys. Please let me know what you guys think about edges. Who would give the edge to? Would you give it to the 49ers or Cleveland Browns? Remember, Cleveland fans, be nice. Remember a few years ago, you guys were talking trash and saying that I was an idiot. I was a biased 49ers fan, and look what happened, right? So, yep, there you have it. Please let me know in the comments below. If you guys like this per usual, like and subscribe. That's much appreciative. And thank you guys so much for watching this. Hope to catch you guys up tomorrow when I predict the game against the Cleveland Browns and 49ers on Tuesday for Sunday. Bye, guys. Love y'all. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, rest of your night. Go Niners all day. Much love to you guys.